You're plugged into Schaumburg Speaks, a podcast highlighting and celebrating local businesses and community in the Schaumburg area.
Hello and welcome to Schaumburg Speaks, where we're plugging into business and community, brought to you by the Schaumburg Business Association and Ian Ryan Interactive. I'm your host, Andrea Bewer, the president of the SBA, and today I have the co-founder of Brain Health Restoration of Illinois talking on mental health and emerging new treatments out there. Terry, I am so excited to have you here today. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. This is awesome.
Yeah.
What a great setup.
Well, thank you. I mean, this topic is so interesting, and I'm glad that we will just get right into it and dive in. First of all, tell us how you got into brain health restoration.
I know it's
and what is it?
It's one of those things I never thought I would get myself into.
Okay.
I'm an entrepreneur. I own real estate. I own a laundromat, and brain health was the furthest thing from my mind. Long story short, is I had a friend that was looking into the medical field and suggested that I go out and look into it myself. Because when COVID hit, I did have some money that I put aside and was looking to kind of reinvent myself. I'm a religious person. I started to pray to God and say, help me reinvent myself here. And this literally fell in my lap. And I know we'll get into it in a little bit, but there's different treatments for the brain that recently came out. And when I was presented those treatments, it blew me away. And I wanted to find out, how can I get involved? And so I put together a team, and my team actually founded about the same time I did. And I have a great partner, Karen Todd and Tom Lavin, that shared the same passion for me.
That's crazy. So from COVID and obviously brain health restoration, a lot of people were starting to focus a little bit about themselves, not only externally, but internally during that time period. So let's talk a little bit more about brain health restoration. What is it for the listeners that don't have, what exactly is your business? And then we'll...
Yeah, so we're set up as a medical clinic, and we're set up to work with the entire community, with psychologists and psychiatrists. The way that I'd like to make the analogy is when we go to the doctor and they say, hey, Terry, you're 20 pounds overweight, go get your blood work done. They might send me 10 different places to go get my blood work done, and that doctor doesn't care where I go get it done. It might be at a hospital, it might be at a lab, as long as those results are sent back to the doctor. And that's exactly the way that we set up our clinic. Our clinic is set up as a treatment facility where we have a variety of different treatments that we could go through, and we work with the community. And I think that's really important because there's some doctors out there that feel like that's just their patients and they want to treat them solely and they don't reach out to the community. We are doing the exact opposite, is we feel like we're just one piece of the pie, and the more that we could work with the community that's out there and the doctors, that patient benefits. So we're all about patient first.
Okay, so there's so much that we're hearing on the news, that we're seeing on social media about brain health issues. What do you think is driving it still now? I understand over COVID, but why do you think that is? What have you seen?
There's probably a lot of issues, and I guess at this point I should share. I'm not a doctor, so let's just put that out there right now. Yeah. These are just my thoughts. With 3 young kids, right? The iPads, the phones. I'm addicted to. I think that has a big issue. That there's a big part of that. Another one is because of COVID, people had a chance to look at themselves in a different way than they ever did before. They were able to slow down and really almost diagnose themselves and say, hey, wait a minute, I'm not
feeling something funny or whatever.
Right, because it was a change out of the routine. The other thing that I think is happening is awareness. There are so many organizations out there that are doing unbelievable work that are letting that stigma slowly dissipate. Now, there's still a stigma there. If someone says, hey, I think I'm having some mental health issues, the stigma is there, and that's a challenge for all of us in the business.
But it's getting better. I feel like it's more common that people are talking about it.
100%. And again, there's literally thousands of organizations that are doing God's work out there, letting people know it's okay to talk about this, whether it be veterans, whether it be teenagers, really anybody. The adults that are out there too are starting to realize that, hey, when I go to the doctor only looks at neck down for the most part. They very rarely look what's going on up here, and this is the lens through which we see the world. And people are realizing, why have we been ignoring this forever?
That is so true, because you think for your insurance, you get that annual checkup, you get all of that, but really everybody needs to get that checkup everywhere. So is there certain things, having had this business for a while, is there certain issues that you see in our community that are reoccurring, or certain things that you're getting calls on to see that are more common now?
I'll answer it two different ways.
Okay.
Specifically in the veteran community, the vets still need our help.
Yeah. PTSD, we've seen so much.
It's amazing how much they've sacrificed for us. And it's not that necessarily we aren't doing enough for them, because there are, like I said, a lot of great organizations out there. It's really navigating that's difficult for them.
And what are the things that you're seeing and hearing about that veterans are needing help with?
It's that navigation through because
PTSD, or is it
correct?
Yeah,
PTSD, anxiety, depression,
sleeplessness.
Correct.
Yeah.
And they don't know where to go. The VA is obviously great, but there's issues with the VA. And the VA, what we're trying to do is let them know that, hey, there's third-party people out there like us, and we are a third-party service provider to the VA. We do accept TRICARE, we do accept VA-CCN, and we love treating our veterans, but they don't know that treatments like us necessarily exist. The care providers are the ones that the vets, if you guys are vets out there, please go to your care providers and ask them for help to navigate this, because that's something, while I'm here, my two business partners, Karen Todd and Tom Lavin, are actually in Hanover Park today. They're having an event for veterans.
Great.
And they're trying to help them through that process and just let them know that we're out here, we exist.
That you could help. So you mentioned veterans. What other things are you seeing in the community? Like, what about Alzheimer's or different other sleeplessness? Is there other things like that you're
of
seeing?
Of course. I would say the number one thing is anxiety. I call it noise. There's so much noise in our lives right now. Again, I go back to the iPads and other things out there with just the social media, specifically teenagers trying to compete against each other for likes, right? And adults too.
That's ridiculous.
And that anxiety, it starts to overtake you being present. And something that I learned going through the TMS treatment that we have, the PRTMS treatment, is, so I have 3 kids right now. Blessed to have 3 young kids, an 8, 7, and 6-year-old.
That's a lot. I think I would need to go see somebody for help having that 3 young.
And you don't realize,
God bless you.
Thank you. And you don't realize how much stress that puts on our bodies,
That's
right?
a lot.
And then starting this clinic a year ago and running this and running other businesses. And then I have a wife. I have a relationship with her. You start to push that stuff aside. And when it starts to become overwhelming, you get an anxiety about it. You start to look at your watch. Am I here on time, right? And that noise could start to overwhelm our bodies. And what some of our treatments do is it helps put that noise in the background. So while I'm talking to you on this great podcast, I'm able to be present with you. Hopefully I'm able to find the right words when I need to find them. But I'm also in the back of my head, I'm aware that in an hour and a half, I need to pick up my kids from school, right? There are certain things that I need to do, but it doesn't overwhelm me. Right now, what we see the most in our clinic is people that just have so much anxiety, and depression, to me, what I like to say is they're kind of like brothers and sisters together. When you have too much anxiety, it's very difficult to live a present life, and you start to slip into depression a little bit. So that's one of the things that we see the most.
And I'm sure with social media, because when we were young, we didn't have social media or even cell phones when I was young. So now it's like you could never turn that outside noise off anymore.
I'm guilty of it.
Yeah, I am too. So traditionally, when people had, issues with anxiety and other things, I know they would call their doctor. How has that changed? So explain how brain health restoration helps that. What exactly do you all do?
Yeah. Thank you for asking. So 2-part question. In the past,
sorry, all my questions are loaded.
I
There's
love
so
the
much. Yeah, there's so much to learn from this.
So in the past, There that's also present and in the future. There's always going to be the psychologist and psychiatrist that sit down in that brown leather chair, close the door, start taking notes, and talk to me about your life, right? And I don't want to dismiss that, because there is tremendous value in that. There are people out there that are genuinely very lonely. They genuinely need a friend. They genuinely need an honest person, a third party, to give them advice, just walking through life, right? So there is tremendous value in that. Unfortunately, there is tremendous value in some pharmaceuticals, right? Again, I'm not a doctor, and I don't want to ever step on their toes, and that's their decision on what medications, a private conversation between the patient and the doctor. However, some of that has gotten out of control. What I talk to some of our patients about that have had success is they always come back to us and they say, I'm so happy I came to you and I didn't take that 5th pill, the 6th pill, the 7th pill. And if you just think about it from a logical standpoint, the FDA approves all these pharmaceuticals individually. Name whatever pharmaceutical you want, and it goes through the process of 5 to 10 years of studies, and they spend a ton of money on it, and then they come up with the labeling and the side effects, and that pharmaceutical is approved. They do not have tests that at least the FDA approves, where when you start mixing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you could have millions of combinations of different pharmaceuticals that one person's taking. There's no company out there that's going to spend 5 to 10 years to study that, because there's so many different combinations. And
so you could be taking an antibiotic for something and then taking another pill and you don't know how that's going to combine and may affect you.
I think that's where a lot of the problems lie. Is one might have a side effect of losing hair, another one sexual dysfunction, another one might be you don't get as good as sleep. Well, you start mixing all this stuff together. Now all of a sudden you need someone that's really into med management and figuring out, well, what if I take the 4th pill out, right? And so typically in the past, that's been how mental health has been approached, is pharmaceuticals and talk therapy. There's not enough time here to go through all the evolution of it, but what we've done is there's a lot of exciting stuff coming out there.
Let's hear about what are the latest treatments that you guys do.
What is legal that we are doing, because there's some stuff out there, and you could do your own research in South America that they're doing. Don't want to go down that rabbit hole. Our clinic, we do IV ketamine, nasal Spravato, which is a nasal form of ketamine. And it's a product by Johnson & Johnson. And then TMS and PRTMS. So those are really the 4 treatments that our clinic is concentrating on.
So real quick, just to make it so our listeners understand a little bit more, and I know you're not a doctor, but from your perspective, do a short thing on what ketamine does. And then I really want to talk about that EEG and the other thing.
Of course, thank you. Ketamine, the way that it's explained to me by patients that go through it, is it increases the neuroplasticity of your brain. And what that does is essentially, my analogy is, it's like you've had something your whole life that maybe there's trauma when you grew up. An analogy that I'll use is maybe your father was more difficult on you than your siblings growing up, and you were never able to really get past the way that your father treated you. And you walked around saying, man, why is my dad so difficult on me? And what ketamine allows you to do is look at it from 30,000 feet. And in this example is maybe during one of the treatments, your brain starts to look at it differently and say, oh my gosh, my dad was so difficult on me because he loved me more than life itself. And he saw something in me that maybe he didn't see in my siblings, that I would be a leader. And so he wanted to push me harder.
So basically it gives your brain a pathway to think differently than the same way of always thinking about it. Is that kind of... You
said it better than myself. That's correct. It gives you a different perspective on looking at the trauma. And we've seen people have those breakthroughs with ketamine. It's really remarkable. Now, the thing is, we can't tell you when that breakthrough is going to happen, right? And that's where a lot of the talk therapy is great too. So some people that go to your clinic might do that combo. Like, let's say if it's a veteran having PTSD or something, they may talk to a therapist and then get, if that's a ketamine treatment or Correct.
nasal or
Yeah,
whatever,
there's
and then they do that at your place.
Ketamine-assisted
safe
psychotherapy, where
environment.
the psychiatrist walks you through that experience.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I think the important thing here is we're not out there saying that we could solve everything. We like to think of it as we're a piece of the pizza pie.
Yeah.
There are
There's
many
options.
different options out there and
Yeah.
treatments that someone should pursue. We are fighting, educating people to hopefully just be part of that pizza pie.
Right. So you mentioned TMS and also the PRTMS. What is TMS?
So TMS is transcranial magnetic stimulation,
Okay.
and PRTMS is personalized repetitive transcranial stimulation.
Okay. What is that?
Right. So TMS came around about 15 years ago, and it was approved by the FDA for MDD, major depressive disorder,
Okay.
OCD, and smoking cessation. And what it is in its simple form, and again, if you're a doctor out there, please don't kill me for this. I'm not a doctor, and you guys could explain it much better than myself. But it's a magnet. It's a figure 8 coil magnet
Yeah.
that we place in different spots in your head, and it taps like that. And the TMS, when it taps, it's actually a little bit stronger. It's like that. It's almost, people call it like a woodpecker. And it doesn't hurt, but it's a little bit annoying.
Mm-hmm.
And the TMS sends these micropulses into your brain. And the way I put it is it just helps rebalance your brain. So there's parts of all of our brains that move too fast. There's parts of our brains that move too slow. And what it does is it rebalances that.
Okay. So you were mentioning the major disorders that people may use those two therapies. Let's bring it back down to someone like you or I that are not diagnosed with major disorders or something, but maybe I have trouble sleeping a little bit, and I could tell you, or sometimes concentrating on different aspects. Could someone that leads productive everyday life that doesn't see a therapist, could this be something that could help them improve? Or let's say if I'm good at golf and I want to try to become better, but I can't get past a certain thing, is this something that people can use?
That's so insightful that you ask that, because where I believe this whole treatment is going, whether it be TMS or PRTMS or the next version of
Just
it,
to get better.
at some point, I believe all of us are going to have some device in our house that's essentially going to be like a brain massage. And you're going to come home from a tough day of work, and you're going to say to your partner, your husband or wife, and say, I'm going to go downstairs, honey, I'm going to go get my brain massage. And you will put something on your head, and it's going to rebalance everything in your brain, meaning anxiety, depression. I believe that's where it's going.
Because everybody, no matter you're the happiest or whatever, everybody goes through that. I mean,
you mentioned
so
golf.
This is super interesting.
Thank you. You mentioned golf specifically.
Mm-hmm.
So we were fortunate where we worked with the Korn Ferry Tour, which is kind of, for those of you that follow baseball, it's kind of like the AAA of baseball. It's the feeder to the PGA Tour.
Okay.
And we worked with the when the players came into Chicago, I said to my team, if we just do some spectral EEGs and expose this TMS therapy to 5 of these players, we're going to be so excited. We're going to be popping bottles of champagne. Well, the field was 156 players, and we were able to do spectral EEGs on 42 of them. They came into
speculative? I don't even know what word I'm looking for. See, I need to get that little shock. Were they cautious at first? And
so
when
these
they came
guys
in,
these guys are so
they probably
competitive.
get it.
Over the course of 4 rounds, right? If they miss 1 6-foot putt, it means
Gets in their
making the
head.
cut or
Yeah.
not, or
Okay.
it means winning the championship or not. And so they are looking for any edge that they can. You mentioned better sleep. So something that a lot of these players, they're going from city to city, they do not sleep well. And when the FDA did the study on TMS, they came out with 2 side effects. And one of them was better sleep, and the other one was sight treatment discomfort. So sight treatment discomfort is that tapping. And again, it doesn't hurt, it's just uncomfortable, but it was a side effect. And the reason why they listed better sleep as a side effect is because that was not an endpoint in the study. They had no idea. And most people reported better sleep after, I think it was 4 or 8 treatments.
So where do I sign up? Because I don't know about you, but better sleep that side effect sounds great.
And when you have better sleep, guess what?
You
Better
concentrate,
performance,
right?
peak performance. And that's what the golfers were looking for. So some of them reported to us that they felt more focused throughout the day because they had a better night's sleep.
Now, I know you said results vary based on
Of
different
course.
people. So on average, what do they say? So let's say someone would get an EEG
Mhm.
and you would determine what areas in the brain are, zapping correctly and some may be slow. How many treatments would somebody need for that tapping therapy? I'm going to call it. I know I'm using the wrong words. But.
So you said it correctly that everybody's different. So let's start with that.
Okay.
On average, if we're going to talk averages
Okay.
for the limited amount of time we have here, it's going to be about 36 treatments. And on average, the treatments will be between 20 and 40 minutes. So let's just say 30 minutes. For my PRTMS, and there's a difference, we could get into that,
Okay.
personalized repetitive, mine initial, I think, was 28 minutes, and it was at four different spots in my brain. And then after that, as I went through, I believe, 10 treatments or so, the algorithm changed where I no longer needed treatment here, so I only got treated in 3 different spots. When I started, maybe it was 8 minutes here, then it got reduced to 5 minutes, because guess what? It actually works. So we do a new spectral EEG after every 5 treatments. And this is something that you asked at the beginning of the show. How did I get involved in this and why? If there was one thing for me that was an aha moment, is when we take a pharmaceutical, and maybe 2, maybe 3, we don't know if we're getting better that day on average. Maybe it's a sunny day. Maybe we're just feeling better because it's 80 degrees out and we're in a good mood. And the next day, maybe it rains and you just don't feel as well. We don't know 100% if it's the pharmaceutical or whatnot. And the way that doctors deal with that on average is they say, come back in 90 days, let's talk again. Let's talk about how you're feeling.
But that 90 day, it could be a good day, I'm sure, for some people or whatever. So
There's so many different
Yeah.
factors in that. And again, when you're starting to mix so many different pharmaceuticals, the difference maker for me with PRTMS is when you do that spectral EEG after every 5 treatments, you're able to look at the graph that we give you and say, oh my gosh, look, I'm getting better here. I'm doing this better. And because the brain is healing on that 6th treatment, that treatment's going to be different than your 2nd treatment, because we want to start treating the brain that you have today as you sit here today.
So each treatment is customized.
After every 5.
Yeah. What I'm meaning, because so you do the initial EEG, you do the treatments based on the results of your first one.
That's correct.
So if one area is not working as much, why don't you, for the listeners, because I know some people are like, what's an EEG?
Mm-hmm.
And I know that's a common test in not just at brain health restoration, but doctors do that, at hospitals, because I've kind of researched this a little bit.
Yeah.
So what is an EEG? How is that performed?
So here again, I'm going to fail because I'm not a doctor. So what I'll share with you is
When you had it,
what we do is
what did you experience?
it's called a spectral EEG.
Okay.
And it's a little helmet that we put on your head. It has 20 different points, and it reads your brain waves at those 20 different points. And so what you do is you close your eyes for 4 minutes. We ask our patients to find a happy place. In your mind, play through something that's repetitive, that's calming in your life. Maybe for some people, it's walking down a beach. Maybe for some people, it's actually on a golf course, just walking some holes that you recall. And so you close your eyes, and it reads your brainwaves. And with that, then we get a depiction of it, a graph of those 20 different points. The algorithm that our Dr. Kevin Murphy out of San Diego created is he uses that data, and then we use a standard PHQ-9 form, which doctors are familiar with. And that form just asks you, how are you feeling today? Hopefully you're not looking to harm yourself today. How was your sleep? In the last week, how did you feel? And they use the data from the EEG and from the PHQ-9, and the algorithm mashes them together, and now you have a treatment specifically to you. That treatment is going to be completely different than my treatment.
Got it. And again, as you're saying, people could use it if they need help in a sport, if they need help concentrating at work, maybe taking a test first. So this is more mainstream. You don't have to have a doctor or be feeling in major depression to have something like this done. This could improve
We just had
functioning.
we just had a great local attorney come in, and she was losing some confidence in the courtroom and losing some words, and she came in for treatment. Great professional. She's very successful. She just didn't have that confidence. So she came in for treatment, and after the treatment, she started to recall some of those words faster. She started to get that confidence in herself. And so it is for everybody. Again, I go back to what I said earlier. This is the very beginning of this, where I believe eventually, very soon, whether it be 5, 10, 15 years, all of us will be looking up here instead of neck down for health.
Well, that's where it all starts. Really, your brain manages everything in your body. So do you see this profession, this industry going in the right direction? Because I know some of these procedures and things are starting to be mainstream. Heck, we're talking about this at the Schaumburg Business Association Chamber of Commerce. I never knew that any of these treatments ever even existed prior to starting here and meeting you all.
If you asked me again 5 years ago, I didn't understand or even care about any of this. So I go back to the wonderful work of a lot of people before us that are helping reduce that stigma so that it's out there. So you asked the question specifically is, are we going in the right direction? The more that we're able to talk about things like this and acknowledge that there are individual issues that each of us have and it's okay to talk about, that only helps. The challenge that we're out there right now, and I'm very thankful for you, is exactly the education, and it's partnering. Is this mental health is difficult. There is
no one wants to talk about it,
and there's no magic pill. There's no magic pill out there. There needs to be a cooperation where people, hopefully like our clinic is out there, and there's great people out there, to admit we're just part of the pizza pie. A lot of this stuff, there is no cure for it, like dementia and Alzheimer's that we talk about. But can we potentially slow it down? These are, now I'm starting to get into off-label uses, but can we be one tiny piece of a solution in the future? And I think the answer is yes. So the answer to your question is 100% we're going in the right direction, but it takes all of us working together. It's not just sitting in that brown leather chair talking about it. It's not just getting that 7th pill. It's all of us collaborating together to come to get the full pizza together.
What's kind of interesting and what just dawned on me, it's just cancer treatment. If you think about how that's changed through the years, that there's now a more holistic approach. And it sounds like the future of mental health, which we all need, is going to be this more, when I say holistic, just this full package of ways to deal with different, issues that people have. Because we're all going to have an issue.
So if you just think about it again from a logical standpoint, I've never met someone that's injured or sick or that's not well or going through some serious disease that isn't depressed. Now, I don't mean the clinical definition of depression, but when I'm sick, I'm a bear.
Right.
No one wants
You're a
to
man. Of course you are.
Right. A man
all
sick,
men are, right?
Yeah. My wife fights right through it and she goes, Terry, you're man sick, right?
Yeah. Have a baby. No, but I get it.
Right.
Yeah.
But I'm not happy. Right. And is that depression? It's all connected. And so we're starting to talk to pain doctors out there, because some of these patients that have chronic pain, I can't imagine being in pain for 10 years. Are you going to walk around and be a happy person if you're in pain for 10 years? No. At some point, that's going to lead to other stuff, and depression is one of them. So let's try to start looking up here too when someone is not feeling well.
Right. And there's lots of options and alternatives that are out there that you could work with if you have a major issue, or if you're just feeling a little sad or losing your words. Because I could say doing stuff like this and having to talk in front of a large group of people or what have you, sometimes that happens. And if that could help me, where do I sign up? I'm ready to go.
You're still young, but getting old like me,
stop.
Getting old sucks, right? But that's just part of the process.
If you could help refine that process and help prolong it, again, where do I sign up? And I'm sure people are hearing this, that don't even know that stuff like this exists, that can now contact you? So speaking of which, for those listeners that are listening to this and want to learn more about EEG, or am I saying it right? What's the PREEG?
Well, the PRTMS.
PRTMS, sorry.
And spectral EEGs. That's correct.
How could they contact you?
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I want to say this to everybody that's watching. Thank you for watching, and thank you to the SBA. You guys are doing just an unbelievable job in Schaumburg. As an entrepreneur, I've dealt with other municipalities and their chambers of commerce. They just have pasta parties, and that's about it. They don't do much. You guys are active in the community.
We're trying.
You're so active in the community.
We have a lot of events.
And
as you
proactive too. Like, you guys reached out to us. You came to our office.
Mm-hmm.
So before I get into that, I just wanted to take the time to personally thank you for the work that you're doing. I see you everywhere around town, at dinners, at other businesses. So thank you for the work that you're doing. And I do think, a little bit of a statement here for Illinois. For other municipalities that are out there, chambers of commerce, please look at Schaumburg, because they are doing it right. They know what they're doing. And I think you guys should really be the flagship SBA for everybody. So thank you for that work.
I was going to skip all that questions because, and I just want to say thank you right back to you. I mean, if it wasn't for you all reaching out and educating, I got the opportunity of touring your beautiful offices and seeing firsthand about the EEG and experiencing it. And it's some cool stuff. And I learned a lot about myself just being able to be part of this. So for those that are listening that may think, well, I don't feel depressed or, all the time, but if I'm having trouble sleeping or I'm having trouble with some of the things that you mentioned today, check them out, because it's amazing things that are out there that could help. And I can't wait to perform better and learn more on how I could keep my brain healthier. So thank you for that opportunity.
And I would like to extend an invite, and I'll share the website here in a second, to all of your viewers here. If you are in the Schaumburg area, anywhere in the northwest suburbs of Illinois, I would like to offer that free spectral EEG to all of your listeners.
Which I had, and it didn't hurt, and it was fascinating.
It's around a $500 value, and I don't mean to sound like a car salesman, but we're happy to do it, because something that I say about the spectral EEG is, once we do it, and then you're able to look at your brain waves, once you see it, you can't unsee it.
Right.
It changes you forever. And you say, you know what, maybe I'm having trouble with that word recall, because look at the line here. For me, night vision, I'm having trouble seeing at night. That's like line 19 or whatever line it is on the spectral EEG. It's almost like reading someone's palm when the doctor goes through the EEG and says, hey, Terry, are you having trouble with this? Are you having trouble with this? It's amazing to see it right in front of you. Mm-hmm. So that's an offer that I'd like to share with all of your viewers out there.
Yeah.
And you can find us at bhrillinois.com. That's bhrillinois.com. And we look forward to helping you. We are in this for the right reasons. We really want to help people. And I believe in the bottom of my heart, this is one very important part of medicine that's really missing is up here.
And I will say one more thing before we leave. Knowledge is power. And it's interesting. I have always been a high energy type of personality. But when I had the test done at your facility, it was fascinating, because it made me realize now I understand the way that my brain works, because it works fast, and you guys saw that. So I think, again, knowing more about yourself is ways that you can, the more you know, the more that you can improve yourself, whether it's personally or professionally. And, if God forbid there's a problem, then, there's solutions out there for you. So thank you for that opportunity. And another way that you could certainly find Terry and Brain Health Restoration is going to schaumburgbusiness.com or calling our offices, and we'd be happy to make an introduction or to introduce you all to Terry and the team over there in Schaumburg. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for placing your trust in us as well.
You got it.